When I was in 8th grade, I had a friend in homeroom class, and he and I liked to study chemistry. And I was learning about testing the hardness of various materials. And I had picked up a rock from the side of our driveway, and I started scratching everything we could find around the classroom. I scratched the table that we were sitting on, and I scratched my friend's calculator, and he was so upset. I mean, I was only like scratching the back of the cover of the calculator. I think he just wanted to have something to get upset about. And I didn't see him for a few years because I started college early. And then I got to see him at his high school graduation at his house. And little did I know when I saw him that time, it would be the last time I would ever see him. Fast forward a few years later, I had made a friend in college. He had helped me. I was nervous about talking to this girl in class, and I confided with him about it. And he had given me some words of wisdom. As it turned out, it didn't go well with the girl, but instead I made a friend. And he and I were we met up a few years after he had helped me with this first girl. And we were talking about he had come up with a way to refine gold out of old computer chips, and he had accumulated a few grams of gold, not quite enough to make a double eagle or anything like that. And I asked him what kind of chemicals he used, and he mentioned a few chemicals. You could buy hydrochloric acid. You can't buy nitric acid very easily, just as an average consumer. But he showed me some things you could buy to mix together to make nitric acid. And I asked him, well, where'd you get all this stuff? And he says, oh, you could buy it at Home Depot. And when he said Home Depot, I went, I gasped, because I had just gotten into a huge disagreement with my ex, and she worked at Home Depot. And when he realized that he shouldn't have said Home Depot, he quickly corrected him. He knew I had dated this girl, and he knew she had worked at Home Depot. And, oh, just go get it at Lowe's then. Don't go to Home Depot. It gave me a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that he quickly corrected himself. That was, how many years? That was 16 years ago, and it still feels like it was yesterday. Unfortunately, that time I saw him when he said Lowe's, that was the last time I was ever going to see him. Now, 3 years ago, I traveled to Tokyo, and I actually went there by mistake. What had happened was I was on my way home from Taiwan when I missed my flight, and I had to change to a flight that had an overnight layover in Tokyo. So I get to Tokyo, and I take a bus from the airport to a capsule hotel, if you can believe it, only a few square feet, and stayed there for the night. And as I left the next morning to go to the airport, and I get into the airport, as I go in through security, it occurred to me that because I love Tokyo, but it occurred to me that one day I'm going to leave Tokyo, and it's going to be goodbye. I'll never see Tokyo again. Long story short, a year and a half after that trip, somebody halfway around the world decided to eat something bad, and as a result, we haven't been able to go back to Tokyo ever since, and I don't know if I'll ever go back again. And now I'm much more busier than I was years ago when I had all this extra time to do stuff like that. 5 years ago, I was driving my dream car. I had a Honda Accord, which I really loved. And if I remember correctly, the morning of the day I lost the car, I was still recording YouTube videos. I was talking about... at the time, I was working at a startup company, and what did I talk about at the time? Just various life topics about how I interacted with these people at the startup. I'll have to go back to my videos to see, and just some various wisdom. And I get on the road and I totaled the car. What had happened was I was daydreaming about an ex-girlfriend of mine, and I lost control. Now, the friend of mine that I knew in high school, he ended up getting hurt playing basketball one day, and he got prescribed some painkillers, and he got addicted, and he eventually used heroin, And he quit for some time because I talked to him online. I didn't see him in person, but I talked to him online after he quit. He initially didn't want to tell me what drug he had been addicted to. He said it was a really horrible drug. And finally he told me it was heroin. And I asked him, well, why did he try heroin? And he said that because he had injured himself, and he got addicted to painkillers and switched over to heroin. But he had been clean for some time, and years go by, and I kind of forget about that until one day I get an email inviting me to his funeral. And at first I thought maybe it was his father or grandfather. It might have been a senior or something like that. And I looked more carefully, and it said he was only 29 years old. And it hit me hard because I used to have an addictive personality as well. I had food addiction problems, and I had behavioral addiction problems. I used to compulsively write computer games for nights on end without any sleep. I think my record was 4 nights, and to the point where I was hallucinating. And it bothered me that a simple injury could lead me to hot water. Now, the friend of mine who had helped me with the girl and he was a social butterfly. That's why I asked him for help with the girl, and unfortunately, it killed him. He caught COVID-19 back in December last year, and he died. And I wonder, I hope he caught it from a girl that he liked, because he was really good at that. But it goes to show that every time I see somebody or do something, or enjoy my favorite toy like that Honda Accord, or right now I'm living in Phoenix, Arizona, maybe I'll have some kind of conflict and have to leave the area. It just goes to show that we never know when goodbye really is goodbye, right? Well, next month we have a 20-year anniversary. I bet those people, when they left for work that morning, they never realized it was goodbye, right? It's made me really pause to think about all the things that I'm enjoying.